Isn't that sad? That is so sad. It is like a miracle. One thing I'm gonna frog, and y'all know I love random detail. It's the truth. I just love yarn. Hey y'all, it's Taylor from yokieB.com. Welcome to my channel where I share crochet, knitting, patterns, and tutorials, as well as finished projects and lots of fun favorite things. Today I am so excited to bring you episode 4 of my knitting and crochet podcast. And I am super excited to show you my finished Corrine Cardi. So this is the second Corrine Cardi that I've made, and I decided to go ahead and make another one because I wear my original one all the time. So I thought it would be great to make another one, and I already had some yarn on hand. Y'all, I am so proud of myself and also a little sad because the yarn is not there anymore. But I have used so much of my yarn. I don't know if you can see because of the sun. I've used a lot of this drops air here, and then I also have another finished project to share with you guys where I used some of this So Woolly. I'm gonna have to rearrange this so it doesn't look like there's some holes in it. That's the sad part, is I love using the yarn, but then I also am sad that it's no longer on display. But most of all, I'm super excited to have used it. So I thought today, because the sun is crazy again, it just gets so low and I just can't get to filming a video before it is already like beaming in the windows. So I figured for today's podcast, I would sit at my desk. Let's adjust this a teeny bit. There we go. So this is my first finished object, which is my Corrine Cardi. I really wanted to have this finished for you guys for this podcast. I was gonna actually film this a few days ago, but I was like, I want to finish this sweater. And so last night I finished this. This was originally a pattern that I made for, I believe, the spring 2022 Knit Collage make along. I think it was somewhere around there. So this is the first time that Crochet ever made it into the Knit Collage make along. It is now a make along, but used to be just a knit along. And so this is the first time that Crochet was introduced. This is by Van Ray Knits, this design. I, of course, was so excited to choose the crochet option in this make along. Obviously, I love both knitting and crochet, and it's really hard to pick a favorite. Honestly, I love knitting for some things, and then I love crochet for other things. And when I don't do one for a while, I miss it. I just love both of them so much and could never choose a favorite. But what's so cool about this sweater is that it includes knitting and crochet. So the body of the sweater is crocheted with these granny squares here, and then the sleeves are knitted. The original pattern just calls for the stockinette and of course the knit side of that, but I wanted to kind of mix it up this time, so I decided to use the purl side for this, and I really like the way that it turned out. I think it adds a neat little extra detail. I need to block this. I haven't even blocked it, so some of these purl stitches are a little crazy. Of course, my purling is probably not quite as uniform as my knitting in general, but I need to block it and just kind of let some of those stitches relax. But I was really excited with how it turned out with the purl on the sleeves this time. It just gave a little something different to this one. This one is definitely smaller than my other one, so this one's more of a cropped version, which I think is really cute. I used drops air for the main part of this sweater. So this is from Wool Warehouse. So this is baby alpaca and merino wool. So 65% alpaca, 28% polyamide, and 7% wool. It is so soft. Not itchy at all, just the softest, airiest yarn. I love it so much. I believe I got this a couple of years ago for my birthday. I got like this big yarn haul, and I got this yarn originally to make some knitted pants, but I just hadn't gotten around to it, and I really wanted to make another one of these Corrine Cardis, and I didn't have enough. I don't think I had a sweater's quantity of yarn that would have worked except for this drops air, and so I was so excited to use this. Of course, the gauge was a little bit different from the Serenity Boucle yarn from Knit Collage, but I really thought that it would work well. And the granny squares that I made in my, I think it was my fall video when I was planning my fall projects, they were pretty similar. So they were definitely a little bit smaller than the original granny squares, but they were so close. So I figured it would make a super cute Corrine Cardi, and I absolutely love the way it turned out. I did end up using a lot of my scraps, like a lot of my batik fabric yarn scraps, and then I also used some Knit Collage Wildflower yarn scraps. But I absolutely love the way they turned out. This is Darn Good Yarn, recycled silk sari yarn. This is Knit Collage Wildflower yarn. This is some batik fabric yarn that I had. After I had made several of my granny squares, I just was feeling like it was missing something, and so I didn't have a whole lot of options left for colors that I wanted to use, and so I had this fabric right here, I think, yes. So this is kind of how it starts out before I tear it into strips, and as you can see, there's a lot of excess string here. But this is what it looks like before I tear it into strips. I have a whole tutorial for it. I will link that video down below if you want to check it out. But I ended up just tearing some of this into strips and using it for this right here, and then I used it with some more Knit Collage Wildflower yarn, and I've got more in the back, as you can see. You know, it's funny, I went back and forth about it. I was like, I don't know if there's enough contrast in that one. I don't know if there's enough print in that one, but I think ultimately I am happy with it. I think especially once you add in the extra rows of the drops air and then kind of place the granny squares how you want them when I laid them out before I'd seen them all together. I was really happy with how it turned out. Overall, I think the colors look really good. I did have some second thoughts about it. I was like, I don't know, because some of the squares I really liked and then some I wasn't like 100% on. I did end up taking one of the squares out because I just did not end up liking it with the rest of the squares. I think my favorites are probably this square right here, and then I really loved the way this one turned out too. So this is both Knit Collage Wildflower yarn scraps, and I really like both of those together. And a lot of them actually are. This one has some of my batik fabric yarn strips and then some Knit Collage Wildflower in the middle. As I mentioned in my last podcast, I just kind of used up the yarn until I just didn't have any more. So I made as many squares as I could with that particular yarn until I was just out of it. And that way I was able to use all of the scraps that I really loved and wanted for this sweater. And then I kind of placed them kind of randomly. So the first time I made the sweater, I just kind of made, I think I made all different squares. And I kind of tried to make it contrast as much as possible. But with this one, I really wanted to use up some of my favorite yarns that I had left over. And so that's kind of the approach that I took with this one. I started this sweater on August 17th this year, and then I finished it on December 14th. So I finished it yesterday. Was it yesterday? And so last night I finished this. Yes, so I finished it yesterday, and I did put it down for quite a while. This is really a fast sweater, but I had some other gifts that I needed to make and things that I needed to finish, and so this sweater kind of got put on the back burner. But I was so excited to finish it, and I really love the way it turned out. I think that it is just so cute. And I love that it's kind of cropped, and so it's a little bit different than my other one. I love the difference in the sleeves from this one and my other one. And so I am overall super happy with it. The only thing that I adjusted from the pattern was just this border here. So I ended up doing a slip stitch border instead of what the pattern called for. My original Corrine Cardi, I ended up running out of the green, and so I had to figure out something else for the sleeves. I used some scrap yarn around like the edge of the sleeves because I wanted the sleeves to be a little bit longer. So I did not have enough to do the border with the green, and so I was trying to figure out something that I wanted to use. So here is my original Corrine Cardi, and oh, maybe I maybe did make a couple of the squares the same. So I think that one, any of the ones that I really liked, I think I may have repeated. Let's see, there's one that I repeated, maybe just one. Yeah, it might have just been that one. Okay, so maybe I just repeated one. So as you can see here on the sleeves, I ran out of the green, and so I ended up just using this peony in the Serenity Boucle yarn that I already had on hand from, I think, the previous make along. And so I'm really happy with the way it turned out. It's kind of a random detail, and y'all know I love a random detail, but it really worked out to do that. And even though I was kind of bummed that I didn't have enough to do the border here, I chose a Wildflower yarn that wasn't super high contrast because I kind of wanted it to blend in. I think that it gives just a little bit of visual interest, but not, you know, something crazy. I've got a whole video about this sweater if you want to check it out. I'll link it down below. I think I originally did try to make the border with this peony. It was just it just didn't work. It didn't look right. So I was happy with how the Wildflower turned out on this one. And I thought about doing Wildflower on this one as well, or one of the other fabric yarns, but I just ultimately decided to go with just the regular drops air, the main color on this. And I think it turned out really good. I think those were the only changes I made, was putting the pearl side on the outside for the sleeve, and then also the slip stitch border. I think those are the only things that I changed on this one. You know, it's funny because I'm looking at this now and I think that I did a slip stitch border on this too. I just love a slip stitch border. It just makes this really neat line. As long as you don't do it too tight, it just makes such a nice finished edge. I just really love a slip stitch border of any kind. So I did that here, and of course I guess I did it on the first one too, which I didn't even remember. As you can see, this one is definitely larger than the one I have on. but I'm really happy that I have two that are a little bit different. I especially love with high-waisted jeans or pants or skirts or anything like that to tuck a shirt in, and then this is perfect to go over it. This would be really cute with a dress. So I'm really excited to kind of figure out different things to style it with, and overall I am so happy with it. So next on my finished projects is this Darwin turtle. I mean, you guys, how cute is this little guy? So I started this little guy on November 22nd and I finished him around December 8th. I'm still not super good about writing the exact date, but somewhere around December 8th. He didn't take very long at all. I feel like sometimes I put off certain things on these characters that I feel like, maybe like the embroidery or something, things that take me a little bit longer, or I have to use more brain power or something like that. So I just kind of stuck with it. I did the whole thing because, you know, sometimes I'm like, oh, I'll go ahead and do the rest of the body before I do the embroidery on the face. But this one, I just did the head, did the face, embroidered everything. So I was super excited that he didn't take very long at all. I love him so much, and he was so much fun to make. He's actually in the second Animal Friends of Peekaboo book. I had a baby gift that I needed to make. I really wanted to make one of the characters from either book 2 or book 3 because I had never made one of those before. And so I was so excited to make this turtle. He is literally the cutest thing. I went back and forth about a couple different ones, but ultimately I am so happy that I went with him. So he is Darwin Turtle. He is a little bit larger than most of the Peekaboo animals that I have made in the past because I almost always use Paintbox Cotton DK. But this time when I went to purchase the Cotton DK from Paintbox, they were out of so many colors, and so I just didn't have enough options. So I decided to try Hobie Rainbow Cotton. So this is their 8x8 Cotton DK. They had a lot of really pretty colors to choose from, and so I was really excited to kind of test it out on him, and I love the way he turned out. Now, like I said, he is bigger than the other animals that I've made, and so that's one thing to keep in mind if you like your animals smaller. I could have gone down a crochet hook size, and maybe I should have, but I wanted to use my tulip crochet hooks just because I love them so much, and so I think my smallest on that is like 3.25. Let me look really quick. Stand up. Let's see, 3.5. Surely that is not the smallest that I have. Okay, so apparently 3.5 is the smallest I have in these tulip crochet hooks. So I definitely used a larger hook size as well, and that contributed to his size. But ultimately, I just wanted to use this. It's a more comfortable crochet hook, especially for something like amigurumi. These have definitely become my favorite crochet hooks. I used to, and I certainly think you can use any crochet hook. I use those basic aluminum crochet hooks forever and ever, and I still use them sometimes. But I have to say that I have a video where I compare the two. It was years ago that I made it. I used a gift card to get these tulip crochet hooks, and I just really love them. They're super comfortable, and I think they just make for a really nice crochet experience. I wanted to use this with him, and so the combination of the larger yarn and also the larger hook size, he's definitely larger than most Peekaboo characters that I've made, but I absolutely love him. I think he is just the cutest thing. He might be my favorite one that I've ever made. So I've made the Audrey Gazelle, I've made a couple, actually I think I've made 3 of the Audrey Gazelles. I made the llama for my daughter with some scrap yarn, and I really love that one too, but oh my goodness, the neck on that thing, y'all, it was just like, it just needed some major neck support. It was terrible. So I made that one, and then I made the bear, Hans bear, but I made it into a girl, like a little girl with a bathing suit for my mother-in-law. And then I made the cheetah, and it was Rosa cheetah, but I made it for a little boy, and so I made him little overalls instead of an overall dress. And then recently I made the wolf, but I made the wolf into a fox because I really wanted a fox. That was the theme of the nursery that I wanted the little character to go with, and so, and there was a fox, I think in book 3. I believe there's a fox in one of the books, but I just really liked the wolf better. So I made the wolf into a fox. I have a whole video about that one as well if you want to check it out, so I'll make sure to put it down below. But I used Stylecraft Life DK for that one. It has a little bit of wool in it because I wanted it to be fuzzy. And so I've used a couple of different yarns. I used the scrap yarn for my daughter, and then I used exclusively Paintbox Cotton DK because I just love the way that it looks, and I still love the way that it looks. I really do. It's got amazing stitch definition, And I mean, it's hard to say which is my favorite because they're just so different. I really like this yarn as well, and I think that it ends up making such a cute character, but it does make it bigger. But I think he might be my favorite. I don't know. It's hard to say. This one, a lot of times I don't put the cheeks on it and stuff like that. This one I definitely put the cheeks on. I use safety eyes for this one, and most of the time I just embroider the eyes on there. But I have to say, I do like the ease of putting safety eyes on. I have always embroidered eyes, but I had several gifts to make, and we were going to be near a Hobby Lobby, and so I decided to go ahead and grab some safety eyes, and I love the way that they turned out. I mean, they really are easy. They're so much easier than embroidering the eyes on there, and although I think that the embroidered eyes are even safer than the safety eyes, definitely, I think that they're so cute. I did make a bear recently too. I shared that in my last podcast. But I use safety eyes for him too, and I just ultimately really like the safety eyes in this case. Now, I don't know that I will just switch completely over to safety eyes, but if I'm kind of in a rush to finish my gift or something like that, I think safety eyes are a great option. So I'll be sure to list all of the colors that I use down below in the description box if you're interested. Overall, I'm really happy with how everything turned out. I wasn't sure if I wanted to use this French blue here for his shirt. I wasn't sure if it went with all the other colors because I kind of thought that it had a little bit of a different tone to it, but overall, I am super happy, and I really like the way that it looks once he's all finished. You know, I think it's okay that his shirt is like a little bit different tone than the rest of him. I think I did everything on this one though. I did the cheeks and I did the little spots here. I didn't sew them down quite as much as she has them sewn down. I kind of left them out a little bit, which I think look cute. I did try to sew them down and I just wasn't happy with the way it looked, and so I decided to just go with kind of the edge that was out a little bit. And then the shoes. Oh my goodness, you guys, these shoes. How stinking cute are these shoes? I just love them. And of course they come off. You can take them off and put them back on. And he doesn't have any toes to fill them out. He just has like the little nubs for his feet. But I love them so much. I think they're so cute and I'm so excited. His face, it's just the sweetest face. I just love it so much. So this is Darwin Turtle and I cannot wait to give him as a gift. And the last finished project that I have to share with you guys is this basic pom-pom beanie. I actually just did a short about it, and so you can check that out to see how long this actually took me. This is a pattern from Nifty Knittings, and I love this beanie pattern. It's just so easy, it works up so quickly, and it makes such a great gift. I have had this pattern for several years. I can't even remember when I first bought it, but I really love this pattern. I did make this beanie over the course of 2 days, but I definitely could have done it in 1 day. So this is a great gift, like if you're needing something really quickly. I made this for a Christmas gift and I still have to send it off, but it's gonna get there in plenty of time, so I'm super excited about that. I love having options like that if you need something just really quickly to whip this up. So this comes in newborn to adult size. So in the pattern you get all of the sizes. I'll be sure to link it down below if you want to check it out. I think it's only like $4.50 or something like that. It's on Etsy. But I really love this pattern. It is just a great basic beanie pattern. And I used the Premier So Woolly, and I can't remember the color. Rosebud. Rosebud is the color. I actually have this green also that I want to make a beanie for my daughter out of, and I think I'm gonna mix this color and the Rosebud together. I have held on to this for so long, and I've had a lot of things that I wanted to make with it, but like I said, I just didn't want to have this hole in these cubes. Isn't that sad? That is so sad. But it's the truth. I just love yarn. I can't help it. I just love yarn. And now I do absolutely love using up my stash. I absolutely love it. It's just such a feeling of accomplishment when you use up yarn from your stash. But then I also get so sad when those pretty yarns are not there to fill in all those cubes. But it's okay. It is much better that I used the yarn, and I'm so glad that I had it on hand because it made the perfect little toddler beanie. I made the toddler size for this one. She uses, I believe, Lion Brand Woolies Thick and Quick in the pattern. This is definitely a slightly thicker yarn. It's also a blend of wool and acrylic, so it's 60% acrylic, 40% wool. This one only has 80 yards, but I think that this pink one had like 90 yards or something like that. So that was kind of interesting. I wasn't sure why it had more yardage because it's the same yarn. yarn. I'm so glad to have this Christmas gift that I can just send off and be there by Christmas. I'm so happy to have an option that I know will just take me a day or two. That way I can have it done just in case I need one of those last minute gifts. So I started this on the 13th and I finished it yesterday. So it was just, and I really could have finished it in one day like I said, but I was trying to film the short as well. So I wanted to do it when there was still daylight outside, and so I filmed it on 2 days and then I timed myself. I don't have any new whips. I know, can you believe it? It is like a miracle. At least I don't think I do. But if I find it while I'm editing this footage, I will for sure put it in here. I've definitely made some progress on my Musselburgh hat, and I do have a couple of things that one thing I'm gonna frog. So this is my snowball blossom cowl that I made several years ago. This pattern, I have a pattern on my blog. I will link it down below if you'd like to check it out. I used the pyramid stitch for this and I really love the texture that it gives. This is actually made in the Knit Collage friendship bracelet yarn, which she doesn't carry anymore, and it's kind of sad because it's just the prettiest yarn. But I think I'm gonna frog this and reuse the yarn for something else. As much as I love this cowl, I just don't wear cowls very often, and I have another scarf that I want to be kind of my focus this year, and so this I think I'm going to frog and use the yarn for something else. I just love this yarn so much, and if you guys know me, then you know that I love to frog something that I don't wear very often to use that special yarn for something else. I just cannot let good yarn go to waste. I just can't do it. It's so funny because there was a time when I wore cowls all the time. Like that was my main thing. I mean, I wore beanies too, but I wore cowls a lot. I have a couple of different cowl patterns, and you know, I absolutely love this one, but honestly, I will wear it more if I make it into a beanie, or I would love to put it into a sweater. So I'm just gonna frog this. I'm gonna frog it and use this beautiful yarn for something else. I do really love the little pom-poms though, and it was a fun little project to work on. And then the other thing that I am rethinking now is my daughter's blanket. So this granny square blanket that I've been working on for my daughter, I was going to do a whole tutorial for it, and then we kind of changed the color direction of my daughter's room, and so I just don't think this is going to go anymore. And so I can't decide if I want to continue on with these granny squares, because y'all, these are some cute granny squares, and then make like a sweater for my daughter, or if I should just frog them. I mean, I hate to frog them because it's going to be so many tiny pieces of yarn. Maybe I should just make a sweater out of these. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Or if you think that I should still do this blanket and do a tutorial for it, let me know down below if you'd be interested in that. I just don't know. I don't know. I love this yarn. So this is Stylecraft Special DK. That's it. It's Stylecraft Special DK, and I got this in that same yarn haul that I got this Drops Air for this sweater. Well, I didn't get it for this sweater, but you know what I'm saying. That was the same yarn haul that I got the Drops Air. I really wanted to try Stylecraft because I had never tried it before, and so this is the Special DK, and I really love it. And there's so many fun colors. Of course, neon, that is my jam. That is like my favorite thing. So I don't know. I mean, I've made several of these granny squares. Maybe I should just continue on with these granny squares. I did have a really fun idea for a blanket for it, so I could continue on with it, but I feel kind of bad not using this yarn for my daughter because originally I was going to use it for the blanket for her room. And so if I made the blanket, I don't even know where I would use it. I mean, it would just be a fun neon blanket that we could use anywhere really, but as far as it like really going with a certain area in the house or something like that, it wouldn't really go with that. So that's something that I'm kind of rethinking. Let me know down below what you think I should do with it. We will see. So this bag's so cute, y'all. I absolutely love this bag. I got it at City and State a couple of years ago. It's so cute. It would make a really cute like pool bag or something like that, but right now it's a project bag. Let's see. Okay, so my last whip is this Musselburgh hat, and I've gotten pretty far on it, as you can see. I'm super excited to finish. I think I only have like a couple inches left to go, and then I'll start the decrease part of it. It's definitely larger than my other one, and I've tried it on, and it does fit my head, but I'm kind of concerned that it might be a little bit too big. I mean, hopefully once I, you know, turn it inside out and make it the double fabric, it's definitely gonna make it a little bit smaller. So we'll see. hopefully it will fit. Hopefully it will fit well. Cannot wait to finish it. So, oh yeah, you can't even see that at all. I'll be sure to put some footage in here of the yarn when it's not like blown out with the sun. This is the color Streetcar from Ruby and Roses, and it was the first time I had ever tried this yarn. I really, really love it. I think she's just doing collections now, so I don't think she has this color in stock, but I was so excited about it. I really wanted to try this with, I think, her static tonal colorway. It was like a neon and just like highlighter color, and it looks so pretty, but I haven't gotten any of that, and so I don't know if you can even get that anymore. But I really, really love this. I originally used it for my sweater in my last podcast. You might have seen my Douglas Cardi. I just put a few details in that, and so I just added that in, and I had so much left over, and so I thought that it would be perfect to make a Musselburgh hat with it. And so I cannot wait to finish it, and I'm hoping maybe this week I'll finish it. I love having one of these projects, and honestly I think that I'm going to make several of these hats because it's like the perfect, once you get past the first increase part, like the fiddly increase part, it's the perfect project to take places. If you need something just really quick, you're running an errand, or you're just riding in the car for an hour or 30 minutes, it's just like the perfect project because it's all stockinette and it's super easy. You know, I really want to get better about knitting while not looking at it. I'm not good at that right now at all. It's so funny because I keep thinking to myself when I'm working on this hat, I'm like, should I practice this right now? Or, you know, while I'm watching a show or something, because I'm like, this would be so convenient to be able to watch it and, you know, not have to look down all the time. But then I'm like, no, and I try it a little bit. I'm like, no, I'll just wait till next time. But I really want to work on not having to look at my knitting. Let me know down below if you're one of those that does not have to look at their knitting. That is amazing. Way to go. I am not there yet. I mean, I could do it if I really tried. I just have not put the effort in at all. But I absolutely love this project because I always like to have a project that is kind of mindless just in case I'm tired and just don't have the mental energy to think about anything. So I'm really enjoying having one of those projects, and then like this project which had a little bit of crochet in it, and then I had this little guy, and then this knitting. Like I said, I love knitting, crochet, both like equally and for different reasons, and I have to do them both. I just cannot get enough of either one of them. Let me know down below if you can relate. So I think that's all of my whips and anything that I'm going to frog. I do have a couple of other things that I have not frogged yet that I'm still planning on frogging, and so I've shown those in other podcasts. But I think that's it. Thank you guys so much for joining me for episode 4 of my Knitting and Crochet podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it and found some fun inspiration. I would love it if you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to join me for all the fun crochet and knit things. See you in the next one. Bye!